Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we proudly present our spectacular show of podcast magic and imagination full of Disney wonder, news, and pop culture. It's the Main Street Electrical Podcast with Jenn and David Dollar.
Hey, Jenn.
Hey, Dave.
It's the Main Street Electrical Podcast. Episode number 154. We are coming upon 3 years of podcasting together.
I can't believe it.
Right?
I always joke that time has no meaning because it kind of doesn't anymore.
It really, you turn around. Well, it's funny, and we'll get to this later, but I put some posts up about my travel experience and everything. And somebody messaged me and they were like, so-and-so, my daughter is graduating from Tulane. She's a cheerleader. She's graduating from Tulane, and she'll be going to Orlando in September. She's moving down there permanently. Wow. She's got a job with the company and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, yeah. And, and I'm like, because I booked them a lot of trips, and I'm like,
yeah.
Booked you guys? This was, she was like 13.
Oh my gosh.
12, something like that. She was in middle school. And now she's gone through the Disney College program twice, and she's a graduate. And time is a time, as Dolly Parton says, time marches on, and pretty soon you'll realize that's marching all over your face. Your Magnolias. Love that movie. Jenn, how did you Disney this week?
Oh gosh. Well, I guess the way I
love that this question always
I had
comes
to think about that. And every week, because I don't think about it. Well, because Disney is technically part of my everyday life.
That's true. That's very true.
So it's just like, okay, which particular way am I Disneying this week? I am actually wearing a shirt today that I got on my Adventures by Disney in Costa Rica. And so I was just, had some fond memories of that. And I also made some future plans this week for my upcoming Disney cruise. So continuing to make those things, because if anybody's been on a Disney cruise, sometimes you have to stock certain things, and that's what we're doing. So it's fun.
Yep. Sometimes you do. Sometimes it's well, you've got a big summer coming up though, because you've got Adventures by Disney coming up, and you've got cruise coming up, and you got some big stuff coming up, which is gonna be awesome. Which is gonna be great. So last week, May the 3rd, I believe, before May the 4th. May the 3rd, they released the new Lego minifigure set. 18 minifigures. They're all Disney figures. Everybody from Oswald to Princess Aurora to Maleficent and Dr. Facilier and whatever. 18 in all. Over the course of the week and a half, I have managed to collect 17 of the 18. I can't find the 18th one.
Who do you need?
Now, here's the trick for anybody that's doing it. Okay, anybody that's collecting. Here's the trick: you've got to learn how to feel the bags. So you can be that dork. I'm completely serious about this. You can be that dork, like I was at Walmart yesterday, holding onto a bag, putting it between your hands, and feeling it, because there are certain things. If you get one, just buy one, open up the paper, and it shows you what they all look like and all the accessories that come with it.
Right.
2 of them have guitars. When you can feel a guitar-shaped Lego, that's either Miguel or Ernesto de la Cruz. Both Pocahontas and Aurora have these long hair pieces that go on the heads. So if you can feel that hair piece, that kind of a sweet hair piece, you know that. Jiminy Cricket has a top hat. You can distinctly feel like a piece, like a top hat piece, or whatever. So it's Jiminy Cricket. There are it's Baymax has a round base that he sits on. Feel that through the bag. So you can feel a round base. Okay. Exactly. I did this yesterday at Walmart. A kid was looking for Baymax. As I'm feeling the bags, I'm like, that one's Baymax. How do you know? Trust me. He opened it up. Baymax. His mom was like, thank you so much. I'm like, I got you. I can't find Ernesto. It's the one with the large sombrero.
So you haven't felt a sombrero yet.
I haven't found, and I can't just go randomly buy them now, because the chances of me getting 1 out of 17, not good. So now I'm probably gonna have to hit eBay, and I don't want to. Out of all my purchases, I've only managed to collect 4 duplicates, so I have 4 duplicates and 4 extras beyond that.
Maybe you can trade with somebody.
I'm gonna try. I thought about putting some posts up on Facebook, and I'm like, hey, is anybody collecting these? Because I need Ernesto. If you've got I've got a Stitch, and I've got an extra Aurora and an extra Jiminy, whatever. But yeah, just feel the bags, and that's been my Walmart trips, and so. Because I'm a dork. That's right. I am a dork. So this week also is very special for me, because it's 10 years since I've been a travel agent. I started this in May of 2013. I started my Disney on a Dollar page in May of 2013. I'm very proud of this. I was talking to our friend of the show, Derek Frank, and friend of the show, Kyla, talking to both of them yesterday and telling them how, I've managed to get around 8,700 likes on my page. Never bought a follower one single time. It's all organic. I'm sure some are spam. I get that, but they've all come to me. I've never been sometimes I will do like the public television drives on Facebook. I'm like, hey guys, please come follow me and whatever, but never bought a follower. Managed to collect a pretty good size following there. And hundreds and hundreds. I think my last count was like 730 something.
Yeah.
Trips I've planned in 10 years. And so I thought this would be a good conversation. We did this, I think, episode 1 or 2, way back 3 years ago.
Wow, man, that was
a good conversation to have about how we got started in travel. Okay. And I'll just go first because I'm already talking about it. I actually worked for the Disney Store in 1997, 98 in Montgomery, Alabama. Had a good time working with the Disney Store. That mall is shut down completely in the decade since the Disney Store moved out and whatever. I always had kind of a love for Disney. I got married, of course, into a Disney loving family. So that kind of propelled my love for Disney. And as I was working at Starbucks at the time as a manager, I'm like, I wouldn't mind finding something else besides being a manager at Starbucks. Not that there's anything wrong with being manager at Starbucks. It just wasn't I love
that's not what you wanted to do.
I love working part-time for Starbucks.
Right.
Working full-time managerial, not my jam. So I ended up getting a job at the Disney Store here in Birmingham, one of the oldest stores in the company at the time. Like the store was opened in like 1986. So it had the animation things on top. It had all the animation in the windows and stuff. Definitely not like all the new stores that have come out where they're all sleek and stylish. We had the old projection screen in the back with the plush.
Yeah, those were awesome.
The plush mountain that the kids kept jumping into and hurting themselves because they couldn't see the barriers. So we had to like put signs up, please don't jump on the mountain, or kids would climb up. So that's always fun. And you have to pack the plush mountain so tightly that
I love that it was called a plush mountain.
Yeah, you pull Donald Duck out and all the animals go and just pop out because they're packed in there so tightly. I've still got tons of plush. I mean, I've got everything from Heimlich to Mushu to Huey, Dewey, and Louie.
That's awesome.
So I worked there, and of course, I love Disney as well. And as that job ended because the store closed in 2010, I had a friend of mine that was like, "Hey, I'm looking to be a travel agent. You should join me." And I'm like, "Okay." So we kind of had that conversation. 2013, I decided, you know what, I'm going to be a travel agent because that's really what you do when it comes to a job like this. There is no like I'm going to ask for a job and get hired or whatever. It's more of all right, I bought a camera. I'm a wedding photographer now. Kind of some of that, But
right.
My first year, 2013, I planned 4 trips. One of them was with my family. I planned a honeymoon, which they're no longer married, unfortunately. But long story there. But overall, I had a good time with those 4 trips. The next year, more trips. 2015, ended up going full time. And my love for travel really just comes. I loved helping people with Disney because I have seen that father standing in the middle of Magic Kingdom, holding the map, kids running around like crazy, mom's irritated, dad's irritated. That's the family that goes home, never wants to come back because the lines were too long, it was too expensive because you had no plan. And I remember before I became an agent, a friend of mine was like, "Hey, I'm going to Disney. You guys go a lot. Can you maybe give me some tips?" And so I was like, "I'll write you up something." So I ended up writing up what was going to be like a 2-page document, ended up being like a 21-page document because I just kept writing.
Okay, this tracks. This tracks though.
I'm not even kidding. I'm like, well, you have to know about this, and don't forget about that. And when you get into Buzz Lightyear, make sure you look at this. And the Great Movie Ride has these little hidden elements in it, whatever. And she told me, she was like, "You should do this for a living. Holy crap!" And so I really, honestly, I used that guide, and I kind of changed it per guest per family as I booked. That was kind of my skeleton itinerary for a long time before we discovered Travify.
Right.
2015, of course, I went full-time, left my full-time job. I had helped another friend of mine start an agency, Paradise Falls Travel Co. And in 2019, that agency kind of dissolved. In 2019, I joined, what was it? Wish Upon a Star. I joined Upon a Star Travel and Concierge, owned by Jenn Dave. Met Jenn in 2016, and it really is. We're both people of faith, and I think that really is it's honestly a God thing where one piece was put in place, another piece was put in place. Met Jenn in 2016, we became friends. Did a little bit of work with the agency in 2017. I mean, I was waiting for an offer, but that doesn't matter. Whatever. We'll whatever. And so 2019,
his version of the story is very different from mine.
I'm like, my wife will tell you the same thing about anything really. And in 2019, I'm like, "Hey, Jenn, so I might be looking for a place to land. Could you possibly?" And Jenn's like, "I think we can make that happen." Best team ever. To the audience, Jenn is the best boss ever, the best person to work for ever. Fantastic team I work with. I will be here as long as they'll keep me. But yeah, that's kind of my travel story. I just love helping people. I branched out to all other sorts of other things and had my first African safari last year and my first Vail, Colorado trip this spring. And, but Disney's kind of my primary focus. We're going to get to all the reasons why in just a few minutes about all the stuff coming back to Disney. But Jenn, your travel story, where you fell in love with travel, what made you decide to become an agent and then own an agency? Kind of where does all that come from?
So, wow. It was actually 2013. So probably May of 2013. So this is actually probably 10 years.
Awesome.
Basically I was working as a music teacher, and because that was my profession. I always was a musician, but I always traveled. My husband and I love Disney. He grew up going to Disney like basically every year. Like that was, they would drive down. Awesome. And that was their thing. Now I went growing up, but I was very Disney Channel girl, Disney movies, in love with Disney that way. And we went to Disney sometimes, and I always loved it. So it just turned out whenever when Brady and I got married, we honeymooned in Disney. And then, because we would go every year, basically, people would ask me for tips or ask us for tips.
That's the most common denominator for anybody wanting to become a travel agent. I go all the time, and people always ask me. There's more to it than that, but yeah, there's
definitely more to it than that. And Brady had, it was sort of like the resurgence of the travel agent, I think, at that point. And he said, you should find a way to get paid. There are people who get paid to do this. And I was like, oh, yeah. And because I was already helping people, I found a way, and I joined an agency. It was not a great fit for me. No shade on them, just was not a great fit. And I basically was self-taught at that point. That's me too. Like I'm a self-starter. I just kind of go and figure it out. So just for a variety of reasons, I decided, and I did some research and figured out, okay, you know what? I think I can do this. And it was just going to be a one-woman show. Just me.
That's awesome.
I did not go into this starting like an agent. Like I just wanted to do my thing, basically.
Right.
Then in 2014, about a year and a half later, I started doing my own thing. And then pretty quickly though, I had a fellow Disney lover who I was good friends with. So he was like, hey, I want to do this. I was like, oh, okay, well, we could make this happen. And again, because we were friends, I was like, I was not worried about it. So sort of started that process, found some great industry mentors, started figuring out things that I didn't know. Probably a good thing I didn't know, but that's okay.
Of course.
Because it's not always for the faint of heart. But, started branching out the agency to other things too, because they were very happy with the planning. So said, okay, well, let's figure out, yes, we can plan Universal. Yes. Oh, we can do cruise lines. Yes, we can do this. And so then 2015, at that point, I was working full time, and then I was running an agency full time. I was basically working like 90 hours a week. And burning the candle at both ends, and something had to change. So I left my full-time job at that point and just became full-time agency owner.
You remember what month in 2015? Like you July? Mine was August 2015.
July 2015.
This is interesting how I didn't know our stories paralleled. So
I didn't either. It was,
that's really fun.
I will say that in probably May of 2015, I was debating. And I was like, I don't know if because I had benefits with my job.
Oh yeah.
Right. Right now, Brady and I mean, we are both self-employed. So yeah, and benefits are not cheap. So we're like, so we did have to think about that. And, so I went into it but by July, he looked at me, he goes, we will figure it out. You're miserable. I was like, yeah, that's because I was on summer break at that point. So I was fine. But the thought of oh my gosh, I've got to go back. I've got to it's going to be insane. And just a variety of reasons. It was time. So yeah. And then it's been wonderful. We've continued to grow with wonderful people, and so just lots of good things. But that's basically how I got into it. The reason I got into it was to help people make great memories. For me, it's always been about the people.
Right.
And about helping people, and that sounds so cheesy, But that's literally why
it's not cheesy. I mean, honestly, for me,
it.
it's storytelling. I want help to help people tell their stories. And, I love when clients and guests will send me pictures of great moments they had and princess, kids with the princess or adults having great times or munching on ice cream or something. And I'm like, I had a hand in that happening. And, looking back, there's been, trips that I've had that across the spectrum from grandparents to teenagers to, end of life trips to just beginning, like first time I got a 3-week-old. We're gonna go. Okay, let me help you.
Awesome. Like, well, let's figure that out. Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you about the baby care center. They have pudding.
They have those.
Grandmother, I'm gonna tell you about the baby care center. They have pudding. So,
oh my gosh.
It works both ways.
And I actually really love when I get the emails, and I just got one this past week, just about you really changed my mind about Disney. I can't wait to go back. The people who were like, this is going to be our one and done. So we're going to do it up. We're going to do it the right way. And so we're going to do whatever you recommend. And them coming back, say, we can't wait to go again. You totally changed my mind. That is like, yes.
And I'll say this. If you are out there and you've I've seen the videos and I've seen the pictures and it's too expensive and I don't want to go, because I would say, talk to a travel agent and ask the questions. And maybe you still don't want to go after that. And the reason I bring that up is there is a TikTok video that's out there. She's like, here's our day at Disney. We spent this much on breakfast and we spent this much on lightsabers and we spent this much on, and I'm watching this video going, okay, you probably spent $17 on popcorn. I get it. You probably spent this much on that. You did not spend this much on that. You did not spend this much on that because you're doing it wrong. And she's like, we bought Genie Plus and we only got to run ride because it was so I'm like, you didn't know how to use Genie Plus. So there's that. I actually downloaded the video so I could actually pause it as they showed the receipt for for a 2-second shot of the receipt. I'm looking at the receipt going, yeah, you shouldn't have. See, that's not right. and our hotel was $900, whatever. And I'm like, that's a deluxe.
Like,
and
you stayed deluxe.
You went early December. So that's a deluxe that you didn't. If you were complaining about money, you should not be at the Polynesian. And so I'm like, and people are seeing this, of course, the comments on her like, this is why Disney's so expensive. I'm like, this is somebody who didn't know how to plan. This is why we have jobs, because this person may not go back because it was so expensive and so busy. And I'm like,
we could have made recommendations for something that you would have loved.
Exactly.
That would have been more budget friendly.
Or could have said, hey, if you're going to do all these things, just so you know, don't be shocked by the price because this is what you're trying to do here.
Exactly.
So there is some of that. Also, price wise, we got 2024 coming out. We're going to kind of segue into what Disney dropped on us this week. And it's not an official news segment. This is the show because Disney just decided on Tuesday. Now, Jenn, did you have any indication any of this was coming? A lot of people did not know, had any indication.
So
sometimes we hear rumors that things might happen.
There were a little bit, nothing that I could have pointed to, specifically. I had a feeling that we were going to get, typically we get pricing in June anyway, right? So it's not like, I was like, oh, this is really, really early. I mean, it's maybe 2 weeks earlier than what I'm used to seeing it. I kind of did think that I did have a feeling, just for various reasons, it was probably going to be more toward the May than the June, but I've been sticking with June because that's historical. Right. So it's always safe to go with historical.
Yeah.
Like historically, we see it here, but sometimes they change it. Obviously in 2020?
It was 2021.
2021, they released it in February, which
right.
for obvious reasons, it was a crazy time. So,
around this time is when, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I would say I did get I will just say I got a slight message earlier in the morning that made me think, with no information, but just based on, hey, there's going to be this webinar. I'm like,
usually when there's a webinar, something's coming.
I was like, okay, so that means, and if it's a webinar, then it's more than just hey, pricing is going to be released. I didn't at that point have any indication of what. I did have I had a feeling about a couple of them were surprises. So, yeah.
Well, we can run through real quick. Let's run through what was announced, and then we'll kind of circle back to them. First of all, the Disney Dining Plan returning. It is coming back in 2024. That's the biggest news. Everybody was freaking out about it. I mean, just going crazy. I'm
texting one of my other fellow others. We were like, she was like, oh my gosh.
This is around the time when we do hear typically that, hey, prices are coming out in June, and usually maybe it's later in May because we'll hear June 20th, prices are coming out, and because I've done
2 weeks heads up usually.
Exactly. I've done countdowns on my pages. I'm like, in 14 days, in 10 days, we get prices. We're just dropping on May 31st, which is awesome. And I had just sat down with my wife at a meeting at school because we're talking about summer school for my kid, some therapies and stuff for the summer. We just sat down and my phone just started vibrating. And I kind of glanced down at it, and I'm at this important meeting. I'm glancing down, and there's in our text chats, you and some other people are like, Disney Dining Plan's coming back. Oh my gosh, this is happening, and that's happening. And I'm like, I really want to look at this, but I have to study because this is my kid. But still, I want to. And of course, Stephanie's sitting beside me, kind of side-eyed me, going, "What are you doing? Why is your phone blowing up?" I'm like, "Ugh." So there's all that. But yes, the Disney Dining Plan is returning in 2024.
Yes, it is.
We also got the indication that the simplified Genie is coming in 2024. We'll talk about what that might mean in a minute. They announced the continued park hours, so really that wasn't necessarily a new feature, but they're going to
continued
say, hey,
extended park hours. You mean
exactly? I'm sorry, extended park hours, early morning 30 minutes, and then sometimes for deluxes at night.
At the night,
There's that. The park pass reservations will no longer be required in 2024
or date-based tickets.
Date-based. And again, we'll get to those details.
We'll talk to the details.
Yeah, don't stop the episode here. There's a lot of details to come on all of these. Don't walk away going, guess what they told me? And then finally, we have good to go dates offered in 2024, which goes along with park passes. And let's circle back first of all. Talk about one of the smaller ones. Simplified Genie Plus is coming.
Right.
We don't know what that means.
We don't.
What I'm suspecting is
do not take this, folks, and like pose like
gospel.
David Dollar said. No,
this is theory.
Might mean this.
This is theory. This is thought, and this to me is what makes sense because they understand that Disney Genie is sometimes hard to navigate, especially if you don't know how to use it.
Correct.
And what I've had guests tell me before, they've like, after the first day it was fine. First day I had to get used to it.
Right.
But if you're there for 2 days, that's 50% of your time learning how to use Genie, right?
If you're there for longer, then it's okay. Like, all right.
Exactly. So they have said simplify Genie processes. What I think might happen, this is me. This is not even Jenn. I don't know what Jenn even thinks about this.
Yeah.
What I think might happen is they're going to pull it back to some sort of like a fast pass system where you did your bookings ahead of time. Now, how that's going to look, I don't know. Does that mean you pay for Genie up front again, like before? Because you did it before, then you had to pay for it day of. Now we have to pay for it again. Is it 60 days? Is it 30 days? How long in advance will they make this announcement? I have no idea. There's so many questions that comes with that theory, but I can see them doing some sort of like, we will let you guys book your Genie Plus reservations ahead of time, 60, 30, whatever days in advance. So that way you will not be stressing about it at 7 a.m, and maybe even just for on-property guests, and then off-property guests have to do it when they get there. I don't know.
Sure.
And so
now I don't think it's going to be free at all. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a pay to play.
Those days are gone.
That's not. I don't think any version of free is coming back. So let's. I mean, great if I'm wrong, but I don't think I'm wrong. But yeah, I don't know exactly what that might look like, but I do have a feeling that you're right, that there will be hopefully there will be some more on-site perks. I don't know that that's going to be the case. I feel like that might be the case, but again, that just might be a wishful thinking.
Yes. Park pass reservations returning. I'm sorry, not returning. Going away.
Not returning.
Going away January 9th. Basically, if you start your park days on January 9th of next year, 2024, they go away. Now, these are tickets that, when I understand, are based within Walt Disney World packages.
Date-based tickets.
Date-based tickets. Like, these are tickets that you have purchased and you have put a date on them. Like, you're going on January 15th. You're going on February the 4th.
Which might mean within a package, because within a package, you're checking in January 15th for whatever amount of time. So that is a date-based ticket. Or I purchased a Magic Kingdom ticket for July 9th. That is a date-based ticket.
Right.
But you also, with the 1 day, you have to choose a parking.
Yeah. So. Now, there also is some clarification that Disney will have to do on some of this, because there are some outstanding questions. The way they've worded it is a little odd. You're like, okay, what is this? I think this means this. I'm not sure about that. So there is some of that. But again, this happens in January, so we will know much more. Probably after May 31st, we'll know some more.
And I wonder if, like, annual passes, for example, those are not date-based because they're annual passes. So annual passes are likely still going to need park pass reservations.
Right. So annual pass holders will need park pass reservations at this point, because the way they've said it simply is that if you're an annual pass holder or you hold other specific types of tickets, which again
maybe cast member or
maybe cast members, you may still be required to reserve park pass reservations to visit the parks. Disney World will offer what's called good to go dates. There's select days on which pass holders and cast members can visit the parks with no park reservation needed. They will premiere and then they will just roll out on an ongoing basis. And so again, that all sounds kind of vague because it sort of is, but they're saying that right now annual pass holders will need park pass reservations for a lot of days. So if you're going Christmas time, things like that, you will. And Disney also has the right to say, hey, for the month of December, we need park pass reservations, because they want to know who's going where and that kind of thing. But overall, it's a massive thing for me. I'm really excited about this.
I'm very excited.
Hey, what about Park Hopper? What about Jenn? Our Park Hopper 2 p.m. thing? Is that going away? What do we know about that,
No
Jenn?
indications at this point. Park hopping is still 2 p.m. So hopefully that's something we can get changed soon. But we don't know. There's been a lot of lobbying for it to be changed. But at this point, it is still 2 p.m.
Yeah, so there is that. But you know what? Small gifts, small favors. I can see a future where they eliminate the park hopping thing at 2 p.m. I can see it happening.
I can totally see it happening.
It might not be till next year, but I can see it happen. So
I also feel like that's one of those things that when it happens, it will probably happen quickly. It'll be, I feel like it's going to be a thing where it's like, hey, starting next week, park hopping is whenever,
Right. Right.
But,
that would be cool.
Don't take that out of context, people. That's not what's happening. I'm just saying that when they
So you're saying starting next week, park hopping?
Oh,
I got
my
it.
gosh.
Okay. Yeah, starting next week. Right. So also 2024, of course, comes out May 31st, which is a few weeks earlier than we're typically used to, because if I look at my time hop and I look at my picture archive, I have a lot of pictures about pricing released January the 19th or June the 19th, June the 15th, June the 21st. And so all mid-June, except for that one off year in 2021, but now May 31st, which is exciting.
Yeah,
and
very exciting.
I understand, we should be able
they're saying that we can book, which not typically. It's been like, okay, you want to go Christmas, then we had to wait till like was it August
19th is the entire basically it's hotel standard 499 days out is how far you could book out, which we honestly thought it was the same thing for this too, which it has been for a while,
because it typically has been.
But Disney is saying now that nope, you can do the whole year. So I'll be interested to see if that still holds up, or if we're trying to book like December or whatever, and it's like All Star Sports is sold out. By the way, did you know there was an All Star Sports?
I don't know what that is.
The final thing they announced, and this got everybody just so excited. The Disney Dining Plan is returning.
Oh my gosh, yes.
For packages and stays beginning January the 9th, 2024. So it is not coming back this year. No. It is not coming back for Christmas. No. If you have a package this year, you can ask me. You can ask us all you want, and our answer will be the same. It is not going to be this year. So please don't ask, because our answer is like, no, it's not coming back. Starting January the 9th, and we can't make that change. January the 9th, 2024. Disney Dining Plan will be in effect. Now, it's a little different because towards the end of the Dining Plan run pre-COVID, there was like 3 or 4 plans out there.
There were
several. There were 4 plans. There's 2. There is a table service and a counter service plan.
Yes.
Those are the
Which
2.
would have been the 2 most popular, honestly. Yes. Yep. Although I feel like one of the ones that they cut, rest its soul. It was only 2 months old whenever it was taken.
The Dining Plan Plus plan. Yeah.
Which I was super really excited about.
Yeah. I mean, if I can reminisce correctly, basically they gave you 2 credits to use for whatever you wanted to do.
It was just like 2 flexible credits. You could use both table service. You could use any combo. But now we're back to the traditional Disney Dining Plan.
Yes. Yep. So there are 2, and one is the quick service plan, which gets you 2 quick service meals per day, per person, per night. So I want to say per night, not per day, because per night,
okay? which is what it always was. So that's no change.
Right, not a change there. You get 2 quick service meals. You get 1 snack per person per night.
That is a difference.
2. Now it's 1.
It was 1 and then it was 2, and now it's just back to 1.
Yeah, and it makes sense because whenever we would go, we would always have snack credits.
Everybody had snacks left.
I'd be coming home with popcorn and candy and fudge. Not that it was a problem, but I would come home with a ton of stuff. Right. And you get a resort refillable drink mug, which back in the day was like $14-15. Now it's like $21. I feel like that's a bargain. I mean, like I like having that mug. That is huge, having that. So that's your quick service plan. Your regular dining plan, you get 1 table service meal per person per night, 1 quick service meal per person per night. You get your snack and your resort refillable drink mug. When you walk in your Disney resort, all those mugs there you can grab. You get one of these. You just go grab it. Say, I'm on the
pick your color.
You pick your color, whatever you want. They're not usable in the parks. They've never been usable.
Never
in the
have
parks.
been.
You can use them at
any resort, really.
Any resort. They have a little RDF code thing on the very, very bottom, so it's the length of your stay. Which is good because I do remember going like 2017, 2018, something like that. And I would see people bringing back cups that I knew were like 2012. I mean, I would see that like people were coming in with those blue, like the bottoms, they had like the
and you're like, dude, that is not a new mug.
Yeah. And they're like getting refills and stuff. And I'm like, no, that's cheating the system. I should do this. So, no, don't do that. Don't ever do that.
Don't do that. But let's talk about for a second. Maybe this was what you're about to say. What is included in each thing? So because like through the years, it's changed. Like way back when the dining plan was announced, it used to include like an appetizer and blah, 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 blah. And then the deluxe plan included that. So now let's talk about like for a table service, what's included. Is it the entree, dessert,
it's
beverage?
Your entree, dessert, and beverage. Appetizers are extra. Gratuity is extra.
And are alcoholic beverages included? Because they used to be.
I don't know that for sure, because
they haven't specified, have they?
One of their important tips they released when they talked about, guests ages 3 through. Let me just read through these real quick. Guests ages 3 through 9 must order from the children's menu or available.
That's normal.
If that's an issue, talk to your server. It's one of those things where it can be fudged a little bit if you talk to your server and you're nice about it. Okay. Alcoholic beverages are only included for guests ages 21 and older. So don't talk to your server about alcoholic beverages for kids ages 3 through 9. They might call the HR.
Probably.
It says, this is directly from Disney. Guests ages 10 and up may choose from a specialty non-alcoholic beverage, such as smoothies, milkshakes, and frozen coffees. Meals and snacks can be redeemed in any order, or if unused, will roll over day to day. Meals and snacks expire at midnight on the checkout day. So yes, that is why it's per night. And if you have extra credits, you can use them. Even if you checked out at 10 in the morning, you have a flight later on that evening, you can use it until midnight that night.
Yep.
So if you're going off property or something like that, or you're checked out and you're just going to go spend the night in somebody else's room for the night with some friends or whatever, your dining credits will not work the next day. It's when you check out, you're done. Okay. And it's really, you're given those credits for the whole trip. So at the beginning of your trip, let's just say you do the quick service plan. You have 4 people in your family. You have 2 adults, you have a 10-year-old and a 5-year-old. So you're going to get, for a quick service, you're going to get I can do math. Dadgummit. So a 4-night trip.
Your fault.
4-night trip. 4-night trip. So each person is going to get 8 quick service credits to use during the week. Okay.
Yes.
So however you want to use it, if you want to load up one day and do 3 meals in a day, or if you want to arrive and then use one that night and then use one for breakfast the next morning, however you want to do it, they're giving it to you at the beginning, and your receipt will say this is how many dining credits left. You don't all have to use them at the same time. So if your family is going and dad goes over and gets something to eat at Backlot Express while mom and the kids are going to see Frozen, then dad is one less counter service. He gets one less on his bill. So, and it's actually per room. It's the whole room. So it will tell you per room.
It will tell you per room.
Yeah. And if the kids are not hungry, if your 10-year-old's just not hungry and dad wants to eat 2 meals, he can do that.
Then he can do that.
You use them exactly. So
or if you're like, the kids we're only a little bit hungry and we want to split a chicken finger meal, you can do that. Like, doesn't matter.
Absolutely. Yep.
It's going to be 1 meal credit. And I know what Brady and I used to do when there was a dining plan was we'd use a snack for breakfast, because I could get a muffin as a snack. Yeah. I can brew some coffee, get a muffin, and then Brady could get whatever, a cinnamon roll, and then we would have a quick service lunch and then a nice sit down dinner.
So it's really exciting. I love this. I love that this is coming back. Now the question, of course, is it going to save you money? It may, maybe it will, maybe it won't, depending on what you do. And it always depends on your dining habits.
And I would say in many cases, yes.
Yes. Our family dined differently when we didn't have the plan versus when we did. We were more apt to have longer meals and sit down meals and stuff when we had the table service meal, because you wanted to use those credits up. You didn't want to get to the end of the trip and be like, I've got 2 credits left. Come on, let's see if we can go find somewhere to eat real quick and sit down and have a table service meal. Signature dining will use 2 credits. So your Cinderella's Royal Table, your Hoop-de-Doo Review, your Narcoossee's, your California Grill. Now, they may change some of these up. Who knows?
They haven't released, but traditionally.
Traditionally. I think Le Cellier has been a 2 signature. Probably talking like Boathouse.
Did you say
Citrico's?
Boathouse was 2.
Tiffin's and Animal Kingdom.
Was 2.
Brown Derby at Hollywood Studios. That was 2. I think that was 2. I believe it was 2. And
you might be right.
Yeah, and then there was the Tokyo Dining. Was that Tokyo Dining? There was one of them.
No, it was. My gosh, it wasn't Tepanito. It was it Tokyo Dining? Yeah, it might have been.
No, it wasn't like Seki Sui or something like that. I just made that up, and I mean,
you
really,
totally just made that up.
I didn't mean to butcher that. That's not me making a joke. It's something
literally,
like, okay.
I do not remember what it was.
Well, because they had opened a new restaurant in Japan. Because you had 2, and I want to say you had Tokyo Dining and
but there was another one, and
whatever.
I can't remember the other one.
Also, Monsieur Paul. Yeah, that's also
Monsieur Paul's 2.
And then there's a lot of around the resorts and stuff like that as well. I think
Riviera was Riviera with Topolino's.
Topolino's maybe?
For dinner.
Probably.
For dinner, not for breakfast.
Yeah, for dinner. So you can choose to use 2 credits for that. So, and I've had a lot of families, and just thinking of the past, they'll do Cinderella's Royal Table with their credits, and then the next day they'll just counter service, or they'll just buy a meal. I mean, they'll just pay out of pocket for the meal and stuff, make sure they have enough for the week. And you can always do that because you can get up there and they'll ask you, are you using the dining plan? You can say yes or no, or I'm using the dining plan for myself and my wife, and Junior and little Jane over here, we're going to pay for theirs. However you want to do it. I mean, really, and you can choose how you want to use your snack credits. You know what? I'm going to pay $3 for a bottle of water, but I am going to use my snack credit for a $5
100%.
Exactly.
I mean, that's where being smart with the dining plan, that's what you have to be smart with the dining plan.
And we'll definitely talk so much more about the dining plan coming up, because as it gets closer, as May 31st comes out,
and as we get more details,
we don't have a price on it just yet. So we don't know what it's going to look like. Do you kind of sort of?
I mean, I don't know that it's going to be that much more expensive, honestly.
Okay.
I mean, I know inflation has hit. So, I mean, I imagine whenever when it went away, what was it, Dave? It was like between 75 and 80 for an adult.
It was like $80 per person.
I want to say it was like right around 80 for the normal dining plan.
Yes,
for the regular dining plan.
It was 92 for the 2-credit flexible plan.
For the plus. Yeah. And then the deluxe was like 100.
It was like 120, something like that.
I don't think it was quite 120, but it was like 109 maybe.
It was
something
expensive.
Like that. It was expensive. And then the quick service, I want to say, was in the
50s, 55, 60s. We could look it up, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but I mean, right. But I anticipate, and this is me. I anticipate it won't be too far off from that.
Well, we can pause the podcast if you want to call Josh real quick.
Yeah, maybe I should do that. But because, listen, all the price hikes that we have experienced, I just kind of feel like this is one that they're going to bring it back with where it was. And I could be
or close to it.
Totally off. And yes, I mean, having it a few dollars more would make sense, because I mean, it has been 3 years.
Right. So, that's very true. That is really true. And honestly, and it does sound expensive, because if you're out there doing the math in your head and you're like, okay, so $80 per person, per adult, per day, times 5 nights. Holy crap. But I got to tell you, there is something about having your meals paid for when you get there. And you're done. It's just like it's almost like you have paid for your vacation in advance. So now when you walk through there's no fishing for your Magic Band or your credit card or whatever when you're trying to get a meal at Sunshine Seasons. You've got plenty to eat there. You got your chicken and your dessert and your drink or whatever, and it's all included for your quick service. And it's just like, it's something about, dining credits, I already paid for it. But even if it is the exact same that you would pay, or even maybe a little bit more, the fact you're done with it and going into it, probably going to spend more.
But honestly, but also consider, like, those character buffets, you're talking $60 an adult. You have just mostly used that up. And then, if you're getting, let's say, even at Pizza Rizzo, and I don't know why that one just popped in for myself.
Pizza Rizzo's not bad, by the way.
It's not. Oh, no, not at all. Yeah. But like $16.99 for me to have, a quick service meal. So right there, I've used it up, and then I still get a snack. So at the very minimum, I'm breaking even. Right.
And any good travel agent will talk to you about your family and whether it's worth it to you or not.
Right. And we'll be honest,
because there are some families that's just not worth it. It's just
correct.
Like, families who want character meals, and let's just say they're late in the game and they don't get any character meals. I'm like, okay, if all you want is character meals, are you going to want a table service plan when you're wanting to pay for the character meals, but you're not getting any of them, and you're going to have to eat at Rainforest Cafe and Liberty Tree Tavern and whatever.
Although those are both good.
Those are both good, but they're no characters. And so maybe a quick service plan would be better for you, because, and then we'll just keep hoping for a character meal to pop up.
And we'll switch it. And then we'll switch
Exactly. We'll switch that. So it's not about like, you have to get table service. It's about what works best for you.
Exactly.
And this is honestly where I think our expertise come in, because I feel like there are a lot of people that are going that don't remember much about the dining plan, that don't know how it works, don't know how the new one's going to work or whatever, that we're going to be able to step in and assist and help out and, basically talk you through it. And I think it's good too, because your dining is done 60 days in advance. So again, if you don't get anything you want, let's just say the dining system breaks down, not that it would ever do that, but let's just say the tech breaks down the morning of dining, nothing gets booked, because everything is just a disaster, because it does happen occasionally. And we're heading into your trip and you're like, we wanted 4 character meals. We only got 1. Let's move it back to quick service and we'll just pay for that character out of pocket. We can do that. We'll happily take care of that for you. I think that works. I am excited about the dining plan coming back. I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be, and it doesn't sell out. So it's not like, okay, if we don't add it on May 31st for our trip happening next July, what do we do? We can add it along the way. But let me go ahead and say this now, guys. Free dining is not a thing. So
we've already been asked.
Yes, we've already been asked. Within mine was like 2.5 hours after I posted about free dining. I'm not free dining. After I posted about the dining plan, somebody messaged me and was like, "Is free dining coming back?" No, it's not. The reason Disney's bringing this back is because they think they can make more money off of it. They're not going to give it away for free. We're talking, I would say, years before dining. I could be wrong. Maybe fall of 2024.
Who knows? But at this point, we are just now getting it back.
Yes.
So I would imagine personally that it's going to be some time before we would, if that promotion even returns, which you might have heard podcasts early on where we're like, I don't know, seems like it's being phased out, because even toward the end, it was very minimum. It was like maybe 5 weeks in the summer. So personally, I wouldn't bank on that one.
my first free dining ever was in 2014. I was on hold. That was my record call. I was on hold, one call for 9 hours and 35 minutes. Got on with a cast member. I was done in 20 minutes. Like literally, I was sitting at my table at 5 in the morning. I've been on hold for 6 in the morning. I've been on hold for an hour and a half. When Stephanie comes down, she's going to work. She's working downtown at this point. And so the kids at the pre-K or wherever he is, nursery, whatever, I don't know. So he's gone, whatever. They're all gone. So I'm sitting there. She comes back in at 3 o'clock. I'm still on hold. And she's like, "Are you still here?" And I'm like, "Yes." "You haven't had a shower yet?" "No, I've been sitting here wandering around." Got in the car, went out, got something to eat, came back, whatever. Went to Walmart with my head. 20 minutes, I was done. Saved my clients lots and lots of money. And I remember this was back when free dining was all the way through the fall, except for 1 week in October, all the way up to Thanksgiving week.
Yep.
I think the last time we had it, it was some dates in August, some dates in September, none of October, some
a little
3 or 4 dates
July.
in November. Maybe at the end of July, something like that, 4 or 5 days in November total. And that was it. It was very limited. And it was almost as if Disney was trying to phase it out, free dining out. So again, if you're looking for free dining, don't base your trip. Well, I would tell you, don't base your trip around any promotion. Don't ever base your trip around any promotion.
Right. Book what you feel comfortable paying with, because there's never a guarantee that there, and even if so, if you're like, this is a perfect resort, oh my gosh, we love it here, and this is where we want to stay, you know, maybe a promotion does come out, but it's not for that resort. So you would, you know, it's not that we won't take advantage of it for you. It's that it's not available where you are staying on those dates.
Right. Exactly. And that's why they have us, folks. That's why you have us. So, Jenn, what are you most excited about, you think?
Oh gosh, I mean, I am excited that the dining plan is coming back. That was one thing that, and then secondarily, park pass reservations. Actually, maybe that might be my most exciting thing.
I think for our family, because our kid has a special diet, we don't know that we're going to do the dining plan much because he doesn't eat a lot of stuff there. So, so it'd be hard for us to pay $80 a day for him when he doesn't eat that.
Well, that's right, because children's pricing, it's different when he was a kid. He was
right, and now he'll be 12 12 the next time we go, and so it's more expensive. And again, we can talk to our server, but we can only do that so much before it's like, okay, he's 16 and got some peach fuzz on his chin there. I think he can't eat at the kids menu, but hopefully his appetite will increase. But so I don't know how much we will do it. If I go by myself, I might end up trying to get it here and there to try it out again. Remember, folks, that everybody in the room has to have the same promotion. Yeah. So if you're at Art of Animation with your grandmother and your mom and dad and the kids, you can't be like, well, grandmother doesn't eat much because her teeth keep falling out, and little Junior over here is 4 and he doesn't eat much either, but the rest of us do. Everybody has it or nobody has it. So you got to take that into consideration as well. But again, we can always add it later. So if you're not sure about it, we will know more coming up. Make sure you talk to your favorite Upon a Star travel agent. Pick me. And, or Jenn, or Kylie, or Heather. But we'll be happy
any of our amazing agents.
Or any of them. Yes.
Amazing.
I was trying to call out the whole list, guys, but Jenn cut me off. She was like, shh, stop. So I couldn't call out everybody. So anyway, I think that's good. I think it's a good stopping point. I think this is a good discussion, very informative. And I think we're excited about the park pass reservations going away because that's such a pain.
It's a pain.
Oh, goodness. At least for everybody. For pass holders, I get it, but I feel like they'll be easier to get as pass holders. So
yeah, exactly. So very good.
Jenn, where can we find you online?
Find me at Upon a Star Jenn or my personal Instagram at Jenn_Novotny.
Perfect. Find me at the Magic on a Dollar on Instagram, and I'm shooting towards 1,000 followers. So go like me on Instagram. Of course, find me on Facebook at Magic on a Dollar and Disney on a Dollar, where I'm shooting towards 10,000 followers. Go like me there as well. I try to update once or twice a day on all 3 pages. I am very, very busy doing all of that stuff. Probably focused much more on it than I should be, but Jen and I both try to give quality content as well as quality podcasting, which we'll talk about again next week as our 3-year anniversary show. So that is our podcast. Hope you guys learned a little bit today, and don't forget to thank your Phoenicians.
Thank you for listening to the Main Street Electrical Podcast. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at the MSE Podcast, or visit our website at themsepodcast.com. Be sure to subscribe, and may all your wishes come true.